Hello friends, we are here today in the second chapter of John. So the chapter starts at the wedding at Cana. So he was there with his mom and his disciples, and they ran out of wine. I think it's hilarious to me that Jesus, his first public miracle, is a miracle to save from a social disaster. You know, let's pretend that you have a wedding and then there's no more food for the people and half of your guests go hungry. That's what it would be like for us, and that would be pretty awful. But this is an honor-shame culture that they're living in. You know, what they're going through here is truly shameful. There's no more wine, and Mary sees it, and she says, "There's no more wine." She says it right to Jesus. "There's no more wine." And he says, "Woman, what does this have to do with me?" Now, it's interesting that he kind of reacts abruptly to this. And Tim Keller did a sermon on this, and he had an idea for why Jesus was talking this way, and I guess it's good a reason as any, but he said, what do people think about? What do single people think about when they're at a wedding? Naturally, they think about their wedding. They think about where their life is going. They think about how they are going to be united to the person that they're going to be united to forever. And in Jesus' case, he is the bridegroom, and we, the church, are his bride. And the way that he's going to have that wedding is through his death. It's going to come through his sacrifice. So when he says, "My time has not come," Tim Keller pointed out that what he was probably saying, or what he says in other places in the Bible, when he says "my time," he is constantly talking about my time. He's not talking about his ministry, he's talking about his death. You know, when he says "my time has not come," he says, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready. I'm not here to cover up. I'm not yet here to cover up their shame, at their wedding. But he does it. He covers up their shame. He blesses their wedding. And he does it in a miraculous way. It's so interesting to me how when he does this, when he does this miracle, and it's blessing this couple, it's for joy. It's to cover up their shame, but it's so much more than that. He didn't just make wine; he made an excellent wine. When I read this chapter, though, part of me is thinking about his disciples. And they are watching this, and they believe that he is the Messiah. That was true of the last chapter. These disciples are like, "Hey, I found the Messiah." But what did they know about the Messiah at the time? They knew that he was the chosen one of God. They knew that he was going to be a great teacher. And that's probably what they expected. Just like a really great guy that's going to lead Israel. But these people, they're following him as a great teacher. And here, at this wedding, he turns water into wine. And it says that they believed him afterward. It reminds me of any superhero movie where you have a young superhero when he joins the football team. And everybody's like, this person's going to bring our team to victory, but then later on they find out that he has miraculous powers, and it's so much more than what you expected. And here they thought the Messiah was just going to be a man who was going to lead, where in reality he is God, and he has power to turn water into wine. He has power over creation. It's also interesting to me that he used these jars. They call them jars, but they sound more like barrels to me. these barrels that were used for cleansing. And so many times in the Bible, when it talks about wine, it's a symbol of blood. And so this is kind of like he's using these jars as a symbol of his cleansing blood that is going to essentially, just like he did for the bride and groom, it's going to cover up their shame. And it's going to bring joy. It's going to bring, a great party in the end. So, that's his first ministry. That's his first miracle in his ministry. And because of that, it said that his disciples believed him. It's interesting, in the previous chapter, Jesus was talking to Nathanael, and he was like, "You believe me because I said I saw you under the fig tree?" He's like, "You're going to see a lot more than that." And this is the thing that happens right after that. You're going to see a lot more than me telling you I saw you under the fig tree. And he turns water into wine. After that, after the wedding, it says that they went up to Capernaum, and then they went to the temple, and Jesus made a whip. and he whipped people out of the temple, and he said, this is a house of prayer. This is not a place where you're supposed to go and trade. Don't cheapen this. And by that, it said that Jesus was foretold. The Messiah was going to be foretold to have zeal for his house. And I often wonder why. Like, why, when we think of our churches today, they're just buildings, But his temple was a symbol of his body. Like in the Holy of Holies, God was really dwelling there. It was a very real and serious thing. And so God cared a lot about the temple. But we know that it's a symbol of his body here, because he even says in this chapter, "Tear down this temple, in 3 days I will raise it up." And they said, "Well, it took 40-something years to build this temple. You're going to raise it up in 3 days?" And they remember this saying later, after he died and rose again 3 days, saying that he was indeed talking about his body, himself. There's a small part at the end of this chapter that I think is really interesting. It almost didn't make sense to me the first couple times I was reading it. I just didn't know what it was trying to say. But he was talking about the miracles and how the people started believing him, but Jesus kind of was staying away from them. He was withholding himself a little bit because he knew of the hearts of men. And what I think this is saying here is, if I see a miracle, or even, I remember going to get big conferences, like youth Christian conferences when I was young, and just feeling this great spiritual high. And then I see the people that I went with, and they're just not following God anymore. It's just, it was something that existed then, but it just doesn't exist anymore. And Jesus is saying, when I do these miracles, it's something that may persuade you now, but over time, it fades. And I think about that part where Jesus was talking to Thomas, and he said, you have seen, but blessed are those who have not seen. Blessed are the people that can have faith in me without constantly seeing miracles, or constantly feeling like they're in my presence, or constantly, me like spoon feeding their faith to them. Jesus is saying, I want you to have a relationship with me that is real and true, and that is not based on just these experiences. So that is John chapter 2. I hope you have a great day. Bye.